Look down at the dog lying near you right now. That animal is a wolf. Not like a wolf. It is one, a gray wolf with a few thousand edits, a predator that, 100,000 years ago, your ancestors would have run from. So, how do we get from that to a creature that sleeps in your bed and cries when you leave? Here's the part nobody tells you: you didn't tame the wolf. You didn't catch it, or break it, or train the wild out of it. It walked up to your fire on its own. The wolf chose you. And by the end of this, you're going to look at your dog and see the oldest friendship on earth. We love the brave version of the story. A bold caveman creeps up to a den, scoops up a wolf pup, raises it by the fire, and slowly tames the beast. It's a great story. It's also almost certainly wrong. Picture an actual Ice Age wolf, bigger than the ones today. Powerful jaws built to bring down animals far larger than a human. Now imagine walking up and taming one. People who study wild wolves will tell you flatly, you don't. A grown wolf is not a project you complete by being patient. The idea that early humans with no cages and no guns casually domesticated a pack of apex predators, it doesn't survive contact with reality. So if we didn't go and get them, how did it happen? The answer is quieter and stranger. It started with garbage. Wherever humans camped, we left a mess. Bones, scraps, the parts of a kill we didn't want. To a wolf, that pile was a gold mine. Free calories, no chase, no risk of being kicked by prey. But there was a catch. To eat from it, a wolf had to do the one thing every wolf is built not to do: get close to humans. Most couldn't. They were too afraid or too aggressive, and the aggressive ones we drove off or killed. But a few wolves were different. Just a little bolder, just a little calmer. Able to sit at the edge of the firelight and not panic, not attack, just wait. Those wolves ate. They survived leaner winters. They had more pups. And those pups inherited the one trait that mattered. They weren't afraid of us. Generation after generation, the calmest wolves outate and outbred the fearful ones, until the friendly wolves had drifted into a separate population of their own. They weren't captured, they moved in. Scientists have a name for it: survival of the friendliest. We didn't domesticate the wolf. The friendliest wolves domesticated themselves. Now, that's a lovely theory, but how could anyone prove that friendliness alone could turn a wild animal into a pet? Strangely, the answer comes from foxes. In Soviet Siberia, a geneticist named Dmitry Belya took a population of wild silver foxes and began breeding them with one rule and one rule only: not the prettiest, not the smartest, just the calmest. The foxes that didn't snap when a hand came near. He bred the friendliest with the friendliest year after year. Within a handful of generations, the foxes were wagging their tails at people, whining when their humans left, leaping to be held. But that's not the shocking part, because as the fear drained out of them, the foxes started to change. Their ears went floppy, their tails curled up, their coats broke into patches of white, their faces grew rounder, more puppy-like. Some even started to bark. Nobody had selected for any of that. Biyev only ever picked for friendliness, and friendliness dragged the whole animal along with it. He'd accidentally rebuilt the recipe for a dog. And it tells us exactly what happened by our campfires. As the wolves lost their fear, they didn't just act like dogs, they started to look like them. But here's where it stops being a story about wolves and starts being a story about us. Because the relationship went both ways. These animals didn't just lose their fear of us. They evolved to read us and to move us. Point at something and your dog follows your finger to find it. That sounds simple? Until you learn that chimpanzees, our closest relatives, are worse at it than your dog. Somewhere along the way, dogs got fluent in human. And then there's the face. Look closely the next time your dog gives you those big, sad, melting eyes. Dogs have a tiny muscle above their eyes that lifts the inner eyebrow, and wolves barely have it at all. It evolved in dogs, and only in dogs. And the face it makes, it's the exact expression a human makes when we're sad. So when your dog does it, it hits a button hardwired in your brain that says, protect this. It's not a coincidence that the dogs in shelters who make that face the most get adopted the fastest. They are quite literally evolved to be irresistible to you. And the deepest part is invisible. When you look into your dog's eyes and your dog looks back, both of your brains release a chemical called oxytocin. It's the same chemical in the same loop that floods a new mother and her baby when they first lock eyes. Wolves don't do this with us. Dogs do. Somewhere in those thousands of years, dogs slipped into the exact bonding circuit that evolution built for our own children. To your body, on a chemical level, your dog is family. So put it all together. It was never a brave human conquering a wild beast. It was a deal. The friendliest wolves bet that getting close to us was worth the risk, and we, slowly, bet back. Over tens of thousands of years, we reshaped each other. We made them softer, rounder, more loving. They made us less alone. The dog lying near you is not a tamed wolf. It is the result of the longest friendship in the history of our species. One that started because a single frightened animal, against every instinct it had, decided to trust us. And every time your dog looks up at you, that ancient bet is still paying off.